All right, so today's guest is Mr. Mark Campos, and for episode number 20. He was born in 1971 in Newport News, Virginia, moved to California at the age of 4, growing up in Alamo and Danville in a family of high achievers. His father, an internal medicine doctor, and his mother is a dedicated RN and CFO. Instilled in him a strong work ethic, his early experiences include delivering newspapers at dawn and working as a cart shed captain and golf marshal at Round Hill Country Club, shaping his leadership skills. After graduating high school from Monte Vista High in 1981, Mark initially pursued architecture at CSU Sacramento, but shifted his focus to real estate, purchasing his first home in 1990. Over the years, he enhanced the property with enhanced. I can't read properly, people. So he enhanced the property with his hands-on work, inspired by family's craftsmanship. Mark gained diverse professional experience working as a bank teller at Bank of America and assistant manager at Mrs. Fields Cookies. I'm a baseball fan, so I saw that and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. So where he eventually developed financial and management skills. He earned his BS in health and safety science with a minor in public health while managing a fraternity house using rental income to cover expenses. His passion for architecture evolved into exterior designs, leading him to a key management role at Lumberjack Building Materials. While there, he earned his AA certificate in, how do you pronounce it? Horticulture. Okay, and a BS in landscape architecture through UC Davis, becoming the only employee to utilize the company's tuition reimbursement program at that time. Mark contributed to notable landscape projects, including Richard Bernasconi Park. Richard Bernasconi Park.
Wasn't called that back then, but
yeah. So we know that as Moraga Merced
Park.
Moraga Merced. So we know that as Moraga Merced Park, and a water park in Yuba City. His journeys reflect a dedication to hard work, adaptability, and a passion for design and property management. Property development. I misread that. So, okay. But Mr. Mark Campos, welcome to the podcast. Thanks. So that's a pretty lengthy. We actually had a longer one with that, and I had to summarize it down. And I read over this a few times, and I still messed up, but that's okay. But Mr. Mark Campos, welcome to the podcast. How's everything going for you?
Doing great. I just got back from the home inspection convention for our industry and learned a lot. Yeah,
awesome. So you are in the business of
home inspection. Yeah, again, I'm Mark Campos with Lantern Shield Property Inspections. First starting in Residential, but recently passed my commercial license, so now I can truly inspect the world.
Right on.
And I can't say no to any property to inspect.
Right, that's really awesome.
I can inspect everything.
That's awesome. That's good news to hear. And you're also a member of the YPN as of this year, too.
Yes, I am. I joined YPN. I'm excited about the group and everything that it's all about.
Yeah, it's a really good group. And speaking of YPN, I noticed that there was the Marshal, but the Marshal for the golf course. We have a golf tournament coming up on April 26th. I know. I was thinking about that the entire time. I was like, this is a good segue.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of housekeeping for now. We'll go back over that later in the podcast. But April 26th, we do have a golf tournament. Just kind of go over a little bit. We are looking for sponsors. Teams of foursome team is $500, $125 each. Sponsors, raffle tickets, we're looking for all of that. So if you have any questions, you can hit up Hector Garcia. He's also part of the YPN as the past chair. So now that I'm back from that segue, so Marshall for the golf course. What golf course was that at?
Round Hill Country Club in Alamo.
Oh, okay.
And, I worked there for 5 years.
Oh, nice.
All through high school, really, and I ate there. I ate at the Cart Shack, and then I let my friends sneak on the course. So it was kind of a fun job through high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've always been around the golf course. Even was able to be special needs at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, driving the golf cart around for people who couldn't walk around the golf course. I met Tiger Woods.
Oh, nice.
A couple times there at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So that's kind of a highlight to my fun side and stuff. So
that's pretty cool. I mean, I think there was a young, so how old were you when you first got your job? Let me ask you that.
Well, I used to deliver newspapers when I was 12, but when I was in high school, 14 to 19, I was working at the golf course and woke up early, and then after school I would go to the country club and I would be that guy in the golf course where people try to hit balls in the golf picker. They're like, hey, all my friends are trying to hit me while I'm trying to pick up golf balls.
That's something that I would do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
My wife did that at Topgolf not too long ago.
I wish
Almost
there
got
was
us
a
kicked out.
Topgolf. Yeah, exactly. It's not aiming for the picker, but you are aiming for the picker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to hear
Yeah.
us go smack on that cage? It's a fun thing.
I never hit the picker. So, but
Yeah, and then so after school, and then I would close out the course by driving in the golf cart and picking up the flags.
oh, nice.
You never thought like, well, who does that? Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys, either waking up early, putting the flags in, and at the end of the night at sunrise, I would take them out.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's a good part of my life where it's like I've always been around the golf course and everything. So every time there's a golf tournament, it's like, well, I've ran a few of them.
Yeah,
and stuff
that's
like
awesome.
That. So,
Yeah, you're gonna be a key factor in like helping us with this golf
I was
tournament.
gonna say I volunteered to use my drone also to
Yeah.
look at the golf course and see some people find their balls in the rough or something.
Yeah, that would actually be really helpful. It's like, hey, that could be a fee that we can charge. It's like, hey, if you want to use it to find your golf.
Or just even a big group picture of everybody there.
Yeah, that's actually going to be really cool. I think
Yeah.
that would be great for social media.
Exactly. It's a good social
So-
media thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, so I was going to mention, like, I've been working since I was like 14, 15 years old as well. And my little job that I had was I was a baseball umpire.
oh, nice.
So yeah, so like a couple games, or I would do like 2 games at night, and I think it was like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I'd work those 4 days. And as a matter of fact, like the first thing I bought was my wakeboard that I got, and I still have it. I just found it, and I was like, man, do I sell this or do I hang on to it?
Yeah.
Because that was the first thing I bought when I
Had
got
money?
my first. Yeah, when I first. When I had a little bit of money, I was like, man, this is cool. I can buy whatever I want, and I still had it. And the last time I took it out, I ripped the binding strap off of it. So I was a little sad. I was like, man, I've had this for so long, and the strap.
Where'd you wakeboard at?
Lake McClure.
Okay.
I would go to
Yeah,
McClure,
yeah.
Just because the water's a little bit warmer and stuff like that, and I don't like cold water very well. It was just like, and Lake McSwain, or not Lake McSwain, but Lake Yosemite's a lot colder than what people actually think. So like when I got in there, I was like, whoa, heck no, I'm not getting in this lake. So yeah. So but anyway, so yeah, we are gonna interview you. You just got into home inspections. Like, how long have you been doing home inspections for? You just started your business, right?
Yes,
Okay.
But my background has always been in real estate, between
Yes.
property management. When I went to college, I had a house, fortunately, that I bought instead of moving from apartment to apartment, paying first month's and last month's rent. My parents like, well, if you're going to join a fraternity, why don't you rent some rooms out and live with those jokers? Maybe they'll pay you some money, and then you don't have to get a job. But I still got jobs. But that was kind of like my introduction into like the real estate side of it. And then as my parents bought different homes, I didn't realize home inspector was actually a profession.
Yeah.
And so you hear about the real estate agent, but you don't really hear about the inspector. But obviously he's a key person that helps you decide on your biggest investment.
Yeah, it really is.
And so your biggest investment, I said, well, that's kind of important. So when the pandemic came around, between landscape design and home inspecting, what was more essential was the home inspector.
Yeah.
Versus landscape design, you could just look at Pinterest and go, I want an outdoor barbecue here, I want the pool over there, and you kind of figure out the spatial arrangements. But home inspection, I liked the fact that I was a professional.
Yeah.
And I was going to be outside. Too many times when I was doing landscape design, I was in a little cubicle being an AutoCAD monkey, and I never saw outside.
Yeah.
And so I was jealous of the guy riding the lawnmower outside with his Walkman. Like, how do I get outside?
Yeah.
And but Sac State didn't have a architecture program, but UC Davis had a landscape architecture program.
Okay.
And so I switched to that. And so when I decided to become a landscape architect, that got me outside.
Yeah.
But then again, at the end of the day, you're a starving artist. As an architect, you're drawing. Hey, this is where your plant should go. This is where all the things, pretty things should go. And then people with Pinterest and the internet kind of blew that out of the water. You just kind of point to a picture and go, I want this built over here. And you go find a landscape contractor and they would build it. You really didn't need my drawings, especially not expensive drawings like these that were with detail. But this was my experience in getting to reading blueprints, was working for a landscape design firm. But really the true part of becoming a home inspector was in 2022, the first home inspector convention. They drew my name out of a hat for lifetime membership award.
Oh, nice.
So imagine if your kid's got a scholarship saying, here, you're going to be and they gave you, here's all the resources for you to become a home inspector. So that's pretty much like a defining moment where I just said, I can't turn back now. It's a free scholarship.
Absolutely.
If you had a name a sport and you got, free ride,
Yeah.
to go to that college and learn about it. So
Yeah,
I did
absolutely.
that. But I learned very quickly, launching in 24, that there's this thing called SEO and website, and it's no longer a shingle that you hang on your door. It's your business address is online.
Yeah.
So people look for you online. So besides being a home inspector, I have to learn how to be a business person now.
Yeah.
In marketing.
Absolutely.
Putting the mark in marketing is what I have to remember.
Put the mark in marketing. That's a good one.
And so when I joined YPN, and everybody said, you got to join YPN because you're going to meet all the people that are in the industry.
Yes.
You have to go to all the MCAR meetings so people can trust you and know who you are, put a face to the report writer.
Yeah,
and at the end
absolutely.
Of the day, I'm a report writer. And so I go to houses and I diagnose houses, like my dad, who used to be a doctor. You were asking that earlier. And so that kind of professionalism and my bedside manner is how to deal with these emotional times where someone wants to buy the biggest investment and you go, well, what's wrong with this house, or what's not wrong with this house? And, you got to talk them off the ledge, so to speak, whether or not they think, okay, this is a fixable problem, or it's just batteries in a smoke alarm.
Smoke detector.
Gutters, if it rains and you have no gutters, a bunch of water is just going to pour down on your foundation, and who knows what happened to that.
Yeah.
So it's like being a doctor. You got if your heart was bad, you go, hey, go see a cardiologist, a specialist. Well, if your electrical's bad, I would go get an electrician. So I'm a generalist. So I was literally supposed to walk around the house with my hands tied behind my back and not use fancy tools, which I'll get into later.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of look at the house as a whole. I mean, you're creating memories in both of your houses, correct?
Right. Absolutely.
You would want to know when you slept that night that battery in your smoke alarm was working.
Right.
So that to me is a superhero kind of thing where you go,
right,
I'm sleeping and trusting that I put those batteries in. So go ahead.
You bring up smoke detectors. So there was one night that we were sleeping in, and all of a sudden, like, I hear a beep, and I'm like having a dream, and I'm like, I see my son in the corner, like beeping the noise, like was the smoke detector alarm going off, and I woke up. It was like 2:30 in the morning. I never wake up for anything. Yeah. But important stuff like something crashing in the house, smoke detector going off, and I'm like, okay. So I identified what it was. I'm like, okay, there's no way that I can sleep through a smoke detector.
Every 15 seconds, it's going to beep. And
I was like, and it woke me up from dead sleep. And my wife was like, you woke up for that? I'm like, yeah, I woke up for that. Like,
kind of important.
It's like, I cannot stand.
It's
all
do
the fires,
job.
all the fires in the Pacific Palisades that we did the fundraiser for at KW. It's besides that knock on the door that the sheriff says you better evacuate now.
Yeah.
Your first defense is that smoke alarm.
Right?
Yeah.
So if any embers came in your house and started catching on fire, well, hopefully your batteries will catch that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's another funny story with smoke alarm. I went to my friend's house, and we were watching football. I hit beep. 15 seconds later, beep. I go, how long is that going on, man? He's like, Bill, what going on? Yeah. You see, you get trained, the human psychology, you get trained that it's just like the train station. It just goes across the train. You're like, that's just a train going by. No big deal. You sleep right through it. So after a while, if that beeping sound, you're what's that word?
Immune to it.
Immune to it.
Yeah.
Nulled by it. You're just like, okay, well, I'm not going to be safe. Your kid's not going to know that. Your wife's not going to know that. That's on the man of the house.
Yeah. No. Honestly, like it's just when it comes to safety, it's always been like especially since I have like two boys now, it's like it's always been a plus.
Club that you want to be, that protector.
Absolutely.
And that's where the lantern and shield part. The shield is being the protector of people's homes before they even purchase their homes. Yeah. And the lantern part is the illumination of like, well, my report's going to show you what I think you should fix, like a maintenance list, or hey, someone's going to get electrocuted if this is not grounded properly.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, most people think my $500,000 house is a move-in ready house when really
It might not be.
It might not be.
Yeah.
Right. And how often is a homeowner going to go underneath the house or go on
Yeah.
top of a 2-story house because they have to buy a 30-foot ladder to get on a 2-story
Right.
house?
Absolutely. Yeah. People don't think about that kind of
Well, they'll
things.
buy
Like,
that when
yeah.
when they buy their house, they want to say, hey, where's my couch going to go? Where's my refrigerator going
Right.
to go? And they're going to take out your tape measure and measure those things. The last thing they think of is like, oh, my smoke alarm should be changed every 10 years if it's a 10-year battery.
Mm-hmm.
And then how often than not are the smoke alarms faded yellow?
Yeah.
Where you're going, I don't think everybody's ever replaced
Yeah.
that. This might be original to the home, 1948 home, and it's an original, battery operated,
Right.
not 10-year, but a 9-volt that lasts a year at most.
Yeah.
If it's
Right.
a good Energizer battery, maybe a year.
Yeah.
But now there are 10-year batteries because people know human nature is, I'm not going to
You're
change
not
this
gonna change
battery
it.
every year. I'd rather let it beep and watch TV.
Yes. I would. The second it goes off, I'm like grabbing a battery, and Erica's like, "You gotta, you do like right away." I was like, "Yep," because like first I can't stand the sound. Second, it's like,
Yeah. You're gonna forget about it.
yeah, no. If I don't think about it right
Yeah.
then and there, I'm gonna forget about it.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. Like when I like talk to people on the phone and I can hear it in the background,
See?
and I'm like,
That's bad.
Can you change the background? And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like you said, like they don't even hear it anymore, and they're like, oh,
They're
it's been
immune
doing
to
that
it.
for months, and I'm like,
Yeah. You've been
I'm like,
unsafe for months.
Yeah, and I'm like, we've been on the phone for 5 minutes, and I've like, you gotta change it. Like it drives me insane.
No, I was watching football at a playoff game. I'm
Yeah.
like, let's go Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
come on.
Give
Where's
me
your
the ladder and I'll do it for you. Yeah.
You have a battery in your like junk drawer? I'll go replace it right
do it.
now.
I was
for
about
you.
to. So we were playing video games, and my cousin, like gaming with my cousin, we were gaming for at least like an hour, and like every 15 seconds, and I'm like, cuz, do you need money to go get a 9-volt battery to replace that? Because I'm annoyed by that. Because first off, I thought it was in my house, so I was like,
yeah, you're back in your
I was like,
house.
all right, hold up, I gotta check something in my house. Something's going off. I was like, and I didn't know it was going through my headset.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where's this at? And then I'm like, okay, I don't hear anything. And I put my headset back on. Boom, and I'm like, John, you need to replace this, dude. Like,
I
do you
hate when
need?
you can't figure out which one it is.
Oh, that is
That's
the worst.
And
That
you're
is the
standing
worst.
in the
Yes,
hallway
you're
like
Looking
which
up,
one
like,
which one is it? Is it that
which one
that
is it? Yeah.
It's got to be the one in the hallway at the very
Yeah.
top where you need an angular ladder
Right.
to try to get up at the top of the stairway.
it's always the most difficult one.
Exactly. But my kids say, Dad, you're a superhero. You're saving people's lives. I go, yeah, one smoke detector at a time, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
So what? Not only just like smoke detectors, but like people think it's like, oh, why am I going to spend however much it is? Like, let's just say it's like $500, and I'm like, you got to think of it as like an invent, like you're protecting yourself.
When you go to the doctor.
Yeah, it's
your
like
annual checkup.
Yeah, your annual checkup. What's your copay? $25 or whatever.
yeah,
like
exactly.
even if it was $100.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, look, you pay this $100. The doctor's gonna draw your blood or
X-ray,
whatever,
draw blood.
right? Just to
Right.
make sure you're good,
Check your heartbeat.
right? And it's just like it's that small little investment. And they're like, oh, well, what if there's something that bad comes up and I don't want to deal with it? Well, then you just walk away.
Yeah, it's your
You
information.
literally just
Right.
walk away
Yeah,
from it.
You don't have to put a battery in that smoke alarm.
Right. yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you
exactly.
literally just
Yeah.
walk away. If there's
Yeah.
something
It's a
major,
work list
yeah, if there's
or
something,
a safety list, but you can ignore it all you want. People used to waive those, and I was like, what?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it's one of two things. Like you either you go to the negotiation table back to the realtor and say, hey, look, we want this fixed or we want a credit to get this fixed.
Right.
Like you gotta, like, this is where the negotiation part comes
Right.
off of it. And if the seller or the buyer are not budging and they can't come to agreement, boop, you just walk away. And then it's not wasting $200. You're saving $500,000. Like
Right.
that's what it's like.
If a roof is $20,000 to $30,000,
Right.
They say your roof has major leaks, it's peeling up, it's
Right.
towards the end. You might want to go. You know what, to the seller. You might want to give me a credit. I'll meet you halfway at 15,000, not the full
Right.
30,000.
Right.
But at least I know in the near 5 years.
Yeah, it's gonna
I'm
have to get
save,
replaced.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a couple
or-
$1,000s a month on my tax
Right.
returns to go. Eventually, I need $20,000 for a roof. But at least you negotiate a little bit,
Right.
As opposed to saying I want to pay for it as is.
Right.
You might have the money as is, but you should negotiate a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would be like, unless it's like, hey, the seller's like, I need to sell it as is, and we need to get rid of it fast, or like, I don't know, but like, just me, it's like, dude, if this is getting called, like, if it's something minor like paint chippings or whatever, okay, whatever. Paint chippings, we can just get it.
Cosmetic.
Yeah.
That's a cosmetic. Like, I'm not worried about cosmetics. I'm worried about foundation, bug inspection. If there's like major like termites, that's a big one. I think.
Yeah, California,
so
sure.
for California, it's a big one. So I know when my parents bought the house that they lived on over by the college, they had termites. Luckily for us, it was only the termites were like on the flower bed, and it was only contained in the flower bed. So we're like, okay, that's not a big deal. Like, so we, like either A, you remove it, or B, right when we get in there, we know that we have to get rid of this little flower bed.
Yeah, that's like touching the
foundation. Right? Make sure that it's not touching the fences. And then that's all it was. So like little by little, we were just like removing like these little wood little pillars.
And it was a work list that your inspector gave you that, hey, you should have positive flow away from your house, not dirt up against any of the wood of your foundation.
Right.
The wood will rot unless it's pressure treated. But, usually foundations are not made out of wood. But anything that dirt touches wood, your deck could fall, your pergola that's made, overhang that's made out of wood, that could all be rot. And my job is to go around and go, hey, like you said, this is bad, this needs to be fixed. And you can negotiate depending on the severity of what it is that your inspector found that says, oh, yeah, that's a DIY problem. Or you better get your HVAC guy because this is, 20 years old and you're not going to get cold air in this 115 degrees heat. Right?
And then this last summer, how many days in a row did we have like 110 plus? Was it
it was awful.
It was horrible. I was like, I'm not looking forward to my PG&E bill coming up for this because
but that's important. Like as part of the major system is your HVAC, especially here in the Central Valley. Yeah. So I get up on the roof, and sometimes when there's rooftop units, that's where the homeowner's never going to get on the roof to change their air filter if it's up on top. Usually they're in the hallway, but no one goes up there to see the rusting or it's making a strange sound. So. Again, my job is to get on a roof where most homeowners would not get on a roof, either to slip and fall or if they don't know what they're looking for. And so all these certificates that I received, show that, hey, I put in my, college work, so to speak. Yeah. And then I'm making an educated opinion on what I've seen. And, of course, I document that with pictures and stuff like that. But, that's how I got into becoming a home inspector.
Yeah.
And then just getting all the tools that goes along with it to make you above and beyond just what the normal layperson would know.
Yeah.
Like maybe we get into it now, but like my thermal camera, shows the differences in heat signatures, in walls, so you can see. I don't know if you can see, the different temperatures.
Yeah, it looks like we can see a little bit.
Yeah. And then, like I was talking to Eric earlier, when we're all family, when you have a temperature gauge, you put that little red dot, and it says, okay, this is how much heat or cooling that's coming out of your registers. And so
we're gonna have to readjust that. That's okay. Go ahead and put the mic towards your.
I think we're good.
And then, of course, no one wants to be electrocuted, so.
Right.
I bring in these commonly, used items by all the inspectors is the outlet tester and then the voltage tester.
Right.
So when I go up to a service panel and I want to make sure before I open up the panel, and this is where a homeowner doesn't have these tools. They don't know that if they were to touch it with their hand like this, if there was electricity in the panel, your hand would close. Yeah. And you wouldn't be able to release your grip. So they tell you as home inspectors, test the panel box first with your electrical tester. If this lights up, there's open electricity in the panel. Yeah. And if you don't have this, you would grab the panel with your hand like this, and if your hand closes, you know that it's a live panel. So the first thing I do is touch this. This doesn't light up. I do this, and then my hand doesn't grip. Now I can open up the panel box and look at all your breakers and do what I have to do for that. And then, of course, I walk throughout the house making sure things are properly grounded, and the indicators tell you that. And so between this, and my thermal, and then I have, 1 second.
Yep, no problem.
Then I have my drone.
I like the little eyes on it. A little bit.
Well, then they say you're supposed to have those little, look like a bird, so that scares the other bird.
Oh, okay.
And so the eyes are supposed to scare it away.
Oh, that's cool. It's by DJI.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about DJI, but they might be banned because they're a Chinese drone company,
Oh,
but they're
wow.
the leading edge of all the search and rescue. Vern Warnke's kind of group. They have search and rescue drones for people that do that too. So if I wanted to be a search and rescue drone, I'd have to have a drone that has the thermal camera
Right.
for looking for prison escapees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or lost kids.
Did not know that it was even a Chinese company. I mean, at that point, if it's a
They
good
might
product,
they might be banning them, but America's got to catch up with their drones. But DJI
Yeah.
has the market on that. But that's another side chant.
yeah, that's a
But I appropriately named these rainbirds, robotic aerial intelligence investigators. My kind of fun little acronym for
yeah.
a video camera in the sky that
Yeah.
can see your roof, so I don't have to take my 30-foot ladder and get on the roof. And if I fall off the roof, there's the end of my
Your career. But if this falls off,
right. I go buy $1,000 worth of drone, and I can go back up the next day. So I have two drones.
I think I would take $1,000 over a broken back or anything like
yeah,
that.
right.
Because how much is a broken back going to
absolutely.
cost you?
Yeah.
Not only your life, but it's like through your hospital bills and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and that's again one of the reasons why I got a drone is to be safe, and why I'm leaning towards commercial because not too many of these older contractors, because we went to the convention and they said raise your hand if you know how to fly a drone for commercial, and out of the 100 commercial inspectors there was 5 people that raised their
Really?
hand saying, Mark, you're one of the few that uses a drone for commercial stuff. He's like, well, how many people think their life is worth $500 for a residential inspection to fall off the roof? My life is worth more than $500. That
Right.
drone's $1,000 that says
Yeah.
you're safe for being on the ground using a remote and your thumbs. Just practice a little bit
Yeah.
versus falling off a ladder. And even that
Yeah.
takes practice. So that's kind of what separates the men from the boys, literally, from falling off a roof and being
Yeah.
a home inspector or a commercial inspector. So if you can do the drone, you can really do both, and you never put your life in danger.
Yeah. So
yeah.
my dad's fallen off of a roof twice. Twice. One when I was a kid, and that was I was like 5. I felt bad for like ever. Still to this day, I
Yeah.
kind of feel bad.
Were you cleaning gutters?
No, he was getting a baseball
your
off the.
fault?
It was.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it was
yeah.
definitely my
I was
fault.
gonna
It
say, was it your
was definitely my
fault?
fault. I hit a wiffle ball in my grandmother's house, and he went up on the roof, and like this ladder slipped out from underneath him, fell on the cement. Luckily, he wasn't like too high up, and didn't have to have back surgery, nothing. Like, and I guess he tells a story to this day. Like he's like, I just need water, or breathe, like a fresh of air, and I think it was like 95, 110, like 100 degrees. It was a hot summer day, and like.
It's always hotter.
Yeah, and then he was just like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out, and he just had like a gust of wind come and like cool him down, and he's like, always been a firm believer of God, and it's like, and then like he's always been like a firm believer, but he like didn't regularly go, but from like then on out, he was like, okay, like
Yeah.
that was my sign, like God is real, like and stuff like that. So, and then the second time that he had fallen off the roof, we were actually at my house, we were doing some repairs on the roof. And he went to grab a piece of plywood and scooted over, and he like lost his footing, and I'm like, and he falls, and I'm like, oh crap! And I literally jumped from the top of the ladder and like jumped down. I didn't even climb down the ladder just to get to him. And I'm like, Dad, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. This one didn't hurt as bad as when you were 5. I was like, Dad, that was like 30 years ago.
So
to
both
today.
times it was your fault.
Yeah, both times it was my fault. So, but yeah, no. Moral of the story is, this is all get a drone.
get a
Yeah.
drone.
Get a drone.
Yeah, because and luckily it was like he landed on soft dirt this second time around, and he's like, I rolled with it this time, and I learned from my mistake 30 years ago.
Well, it's either fly a drone or you have to do that one pull up to save your life.
Yeah.
So if you're hanging on that gutter, hopefully that gutter's
Yeah.
in there, pretty good with it. Hold your weight.
Hold your weight, or at least get to the point where you're like, okay, what can I fall on that's not gonna hurt?
Yeah,
Like,
it's either cement or that bush. Hopefully,
hopefully there's a bush, or
if
you're
there's
falling
no
on.
bush. You got to be Spider-Man and try
Right.
to leap to another, tree or.
Yeah.
Otherwise, bend your knees when you hit the ground.
Yeah, bend the knees, roll
Stop-
through.
Yeah, exactly.
roll through
the
it.
impact.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Transfer of energy. That's why cats always land on all fours. Like, it's a transfer of energy, and it doesn't hurt.
I
them.
only think I have one life and not
Yeah, I know.
not 9 lives,
and
right?
That's why I'm not going to take that chance.
Yeah.
And that's why I got the drone.
Yeah.
And again, my kids, they grew up playing video games. You're a big gamer.
Oh, yeah, I'm a
right?
big
So
gamer.
it's all about your thumbs. I'm 50-something years old, and it's like, well, am I going to learn how to do this? But after a while, it just takes practice. So.
Yeah.
as much as the test is hard, I think just getting over that, you have to just practice, doing loops with your, going up and down slowly. And there's, calibrations to make it go slower, so you don't feel like you're flying off the racetrack. Like,
right.
Like when you're driving games, when you're playing,
Need for Speed.
Yeah.
That was one of my games back in the day.
Grand Theft Auto.
Theft Auto,
right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But yeah.
GTA 6 is coming out later this year. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that. So
Yeah, I've never been a video game player, but when Paperboy came out.
Yeah.
Because I used to be a paperboy back, and I would wake up early. So when throwing newspapers, it's a video game now. So I was like, wow, my kids are like, you used to do that? Like, yeah, way back then when newspapers had all your news coming on your tablet.
Yeah.
But you have to evolve, and that's where I evolved from delivering newspapers now to and I used to create blueprints. Now I'm delivering reports.
Yeah.
I can't get away from paperwork.
So you have some blueprints here, and let's kind of talk about what this is. So we did talk about this earlier in the podcast during your bio. Moraga Park, you kind of set something up a little different for this, and I want you to do it. And even though we've already heard about it, so go ahead and tell us what we got here that's on the table.
Well, this is when I used to work for LPA. It's a landscape architecture firm, and they had architecture too, so it was all encompassing. And my principal back at the time, Kevin Sullivan, he said, "Hey, Mark, you've been with us for 4 years. How about doing your first project?" I'm all, "What project is that?" So I'm excited. Someone's like, "Here's your project." It's I don't know how much it costs, but drive to Merced. It's an open field, but it's going to be a detention basin, and we're going to build, housing complex around it. So this park you're going to develop, one has to be a detention basin to capture water when it rains occasionally. And then during the rest of the time when it's dry, because Merced's pretty dry, it doesn't rain very much, it's going to be a baseball field. So I came out here for a couple of visits, and I was a young landscape architect, just got hired, or at least 4 years into me working there, and I got my first project. So I went down here, I met with Mid-Valley Construction. That's who what do you call it? Lakemont Communities was the owner, architect was LPA. We had LP Consulting, and then Mid-Valley Engineers were the civil engineers, and Wallace Cool was a geotechnical. And so I would coordinate all these plans and develop the landscape plan along with my drawings. And so by the time this park was being built in 2006, I already spent many hours, designing my park.
Yeah.
And when I met my girlfriend, I go, how Walt Disney designed Disneyland as the happiest place on earth? Well, that's a landscape architect by walking through and channeling people to enjoy things. Well, a park is now different, where on a weekend you'd go there with your kids to throw the ball around or have a picnic. So with this park, I developed this park that had 2 basketball courts, 2 baseball fields in a detention basin with play structures. So I got to pick out the play structures, and these are just all the sketches that I've done. But mainly I want to show the whole landscape design plan. And again, this is where I'm uniquely qualified to be a commercial inspector, because I can read blueprints.
Yeah.
So if you look right here, these are the baseball courts. The basketball courts, I should say. And then these are the playground structures. And then there's supposed to be a community tree that people gather around for a tree lighting ceremony. So that was that. And then I called out all these plants with my horticulture certificate that you said earlier. I had to learn plants, the top 100 plants.
Yeah.
So I used to walk around, I ran a garden center, so I would walk around and ordering the top 100 plants for everybody that goes to Lowe's. So any plants that you went to Lowe's or Home Depot for, that little garden section, I had to order all those plants and fill out and go, okay. And so I kind of knew, as a nerd, the Latin names for redwood tree, Sequoia sempervirens. So I would know Latin names based on what I was ordering. So that was kind of one of the reasons why I got that job there, because I knew what my plants were all about: evergreen plants and roses and stuff like that, and fertilizers. And so that was covered. But that was the landscape architecture portion of my life, and I did that in San Diego, where I felt like, well, I don't want to do commercial anymore. I want to get to know people. Right. I want to design a backyard for you and your kids, or you and your New York boy, and go, okay, well, what would you want? So I would ask you basic questions. Do you want a play structure? You obviously want a barbecue because everybody likes to barbecue, right? And if you had room for a pool, I'd help you design that. But I would come up with these full drawings for someone to actually build. But now that I'm no longer doing that, my background in still doing architectural plans, I know and kind of can see how a building was made or put together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not like it's Greek, it's like I can understand what all these symbols mean and how to, reference things. Is that the direction?
That's exactly where we're going. Yeah.
So when I feel like I did this design, and I've done other big projects for LPA, is that I feel a part of this community.
Yeah, and so this is kind of the end results of after a winter storm, where we had a bunch of overflow going into there.
January of 2022, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe it was 23, but it was the last couple years.
It was 23. Yeah,
that's the pictures of the detention basin and the water that eventually filled it up. And I was thinking about that day because I live really close to that, putting my stand-up paddleboard. And being that guy.
Oh, you were going through it?
I was thinking about going out there like, I don't want to be that guy. That's on TV.
But that would have been kind of cool. It would have been really cool because it's like that was your design.
Yeah. And it was supposed to detain water.
So it did its purpose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's why I took a picture of it. I got to go out there and see if it works.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's one of a kind 100-year storm, supposedly.
Yeah.
Bear Creek crested pretty high.
Yeah, there was a lot of problems that happened that day, and it was pretty scary. Like my wife was like, "Oh, should we get sandbags?" I'm like, "I think we're gonna be okay." And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it started like on New Year's Eve, and I was like really shook, and I'm like, driving out to the party that we're going to, and I'm like, this storm is bad. Like I haven't seen a storm that bad.
No, there was lines of people getting sandbags.
Yeah,
all the fire stations, and I put some sandbags in front of my garage. Yeah, thinking that I might, go underneath the garage and wet everything in there.
Yeah, and it was funny. So I was like driving through the neighborhood, and I was looking for wherever the drain storages were at. And I was like, and we're on the way to the party, and I'm like going through the neighborhood, looking at like looking outside, like looking all over. She's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, I'm looking for every single drain storage. So if we start to see water come flowing up, I'm gonna make sure that they're cleared. And if they're not cleared, I'm clearing them. I'm not gonna wait for the city. Yeah. Like I'd rather take action and do it for ourselves.
The guy that goes out there and cleans the grates to make sure the water flows.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, those cul-de-sacs get full of water.
Oh yeah.
And only the guy that has a snorkel on his truck.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I should get one of those. Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, what is this guy doing with the snorkel?" It's like, for that reason right there, you need a snorkel on that car.
Exactly. And so, so when I designed that park and it was all full of water, I thought that was pretty cool. That it actually did its job. Yeah. And so, but that was one of my other half of my life. And like I said, if I didn't win that lifetime award, I'd still probably, either try to be flipping houses or doing a little landscape design for people. And still people ask me, you still do landscape design? And I go, depends on the client is. If they're my friends, I'll just give them a little napkin sketch. Yeah. That's why ever play that game Win, Lose, or Draw?
No, I don't think I've ever played that.
Like, it used to be a big game on TV where there was like you draw something and the couples would compete on what they would draw, and it's like they would figure out what you're drawing. Go, well, what are you trying to draw? I could win all of those because I'm a napkin sketch artist. Yeah. All these things that all my drawings were like, oh, I know what you're trying to. It's like password.
Yeah.
The clue is, and I would draw it out. This is win, lose, or draw, and so I would always win that. But part of my skill is a photographic memory.
That's good.
So when I was taking all these certificates and I would see how all these would work, I'd go, oh, that's like a blueprint like that. Oh, that's how they did that. My mind sees things like that, like Legos. Yeah. I'll build a house. Well, I know what it takes to build a house out of Legos. Same thing when I see buildings. There's tilt up, there's concrete, there's brick, and how all those things go together. For some reason, it's easy for me, and maybe it's because I worked 4 years at a hardware store where I got to see what different fasteners were like galvanized and pressure treated and like flashing. And so it's like if you walk up and down Home Depot, I bet you most homeowners would go, "What's that for? What's that for?" Yeah,
me.
Yeah, I'm
I always take my dad.
I'm above that, where it's like before they had YouTube videos on, hey, this is how you replace a toilet. I think Patty said she replaced a toilet. Yeah. And it's like, well, I've done 3 of those, so after 3 of them, you're like an expert. I can replace a toilet. Yeah. And then as a home inspector, when the toilets are wobbly, you go, okay, that's a defect. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be sitting on a toilet and have it all wobbly. So it's like, well, how do well, must be the bolts are loose. But see, if the average homeowner who buys their first house, they go, is my toilet supposed to be wobbling like this?
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not.
It's kind of like a minor defect, but a defect nonetheless. Or installation problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing now is I go to my friends' houses and they're like, dude, stop inspecting.
Just
You go
relax.
in my bathroom and you said my toilet's leaking or it's like it's running water. I go,
Yeah.
all you have to do is jiggle it or tighten this.
Yeah.
And it calibrates itself and it's not always running water.
Yeah.
But those.
Okay, so you're talking about running water, like that's like one of the basic ones, like from a toilet. But what's some of the craziest things that you've seen as an inspector?
So far, what I'm trying to avoid is seeing beady eyes underneath a crawl space where it's either a raccoon or a possum. Fortunately, I've been able to be on the positive end of rattlesnake kills. I've killed 3 rattlesnakes in my lifetime, but I'm trying to avoid those yet. So as far as craziness, I'm trying to avoid animal encounters for one. Smells. I think was it Mo was saying that there was a dead body underneath. The
Yes,
house?
so I think that was one of Marcus Rodriguez's listings. They were getting ready to close, and they were doing like one of the final inspections.
Right.
And it ended up being a dead cow.
Yeah.
That was underneath a cow.
Yeah. Or what was the I think it was Mo's also with the duck smell. The ducks in the house. So I'm trying to
remember
avoid
that
all
one.
the smells. Like I think he was saying that there was a property manager who said that they used to have ducks inside.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. Or some type of like bird or something that was in the house. Yeah.
And so it's like I haven't avoided those, but the craziest. I don't know if it's been crazy, but just hazards. Like I always see hornets, wasps.
Yeah.
And so you want to call out the hornets, wasps, even if before the pest guy comes in, hey, there's one just below the front door, because you can imagine trick-or-treaters or whatever
Right.
knocking, even if your Culligan water guy comes there, he gets stung by a bee or a
Yeah.
wasp, you're like, well, someone could die if they're allergic.
Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of reminds me when I was when I first started subbing, I was at Weaver Middle School, and I was like, I heard a buzzing, and I'm like, where's that buzzing coming from? And I look up, and there's a wasp nest. I was like, that's brand new. It's like you can see it's brand new. So I was like, somebody goes, can I help you? They had no idea I was subbing that day, and I'm like, oh, I'm a sub, and I just heard like this buzzing, and there's a wasp nest right there, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks for letting us know. I was like, yeah, I was just, on my way to my car. I'm done for the day. So and they're like, oh, okay, thanks for letting us know. And yeah, it was just one of those things. It's like, wasp nests are crazy, and they can grow really fast, can't they? Or am I wrong on that?
I guess it has to be the perfect environment for them to pick that one spot and then go, hey, we're going to have our hive right here. And then what control do you have except for you found it and now you have to get it removed? So that's one of the first things I look for as far as safety or something that could really hurt someone that's unsuspecting, because again those wasp nests are underneath the eaves and you might not see them right away, and that's hopefully with my educated eye I can kind of figure out where to look for either water moisture or wasp or rodent intrusion. I mean, I hate going to an attic and all you see is rat droppings.
Because it's
it happens. I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
I got to put my mask on. I don't want to get hantavirus. So those are kind of the hazard pays that you're like, okay, for my inspection, I'm going to go to a hot attic, wear my mask, and there's rat poop. I'm going to take a picture and go, okay, the pest guy's going to come, but I'm going to give him a heads up that there's rats here or termites or there's a wasp.
Yeah.
Or I haven't seen bats yet. I haven't seen a raccoon in a house yet. I've seen, rat droppings and snake. What do you call it? Skins.
Were they shedding?
They shed underneath the house. But I know one day I'm going to probably run into some beady eyes of a raccoon and go.
You're like, what do I do?
That's got to be the worst, because it's like okay, well, here's this skin, that this
carcass
snake shedded, and it's like,
is there babies?
Okay, and it's like it's under here somewhere. You just don't want to find it. So
right. So luckily, if it's 12 inches or less crawl space, our standards of practice don't allow us to go there for safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's wires lying around the ground, which often, more than not, they didn't require wiring to be tacked up on the underneath the crawl space. So if I see water and a little bit of dampness, electricity and water don't mix.
Yeah, they do not mix whatsoever.
Yeah. So eventually I'm going to get one of those crawl robots, much like a drone.
Oh, okay.
Where it just on tank treads, it goes underneath and takes the 4K video there. So that's what I'm trying to avoid as far as the hairiness.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'm going to run into everything like, the bones underneath the house.
Yeah.
Cow carcass. And then I'm sure I'm going to run into a raccoon. I've already ran into wasps. I've killed rattlesnakes.
Wow.
So it's like, I'm sure I'm in my lifetime.
You're going to see
I'm
something.
going to see all that stuff. But they say on the podcast all the time, it's like, oh yeah, you run into this, you run into that. And obviously people don't want to get electrocuted. That's the number one thing, or they don't want to fall off the roof. But then as far as like hazards and animal encounters,
that's got to be up there, like as more dangerous.
That separates, people are like, I'm going to dabble in home inspection, or okay, I'm going to actually get into this. Where, like my gear, I'll show you right now. My gear has knee pads, like the Mandalorian has knee pads, and I have all these pockets that are where I carry all my tools. I don't know if you can see that, but I go into places with all this gear, like a firefighter or a paramedic, where I go in and go, do I have everything I need? Do I have my lights? Do I have my sensors? And luckily I have a knife just in case there is a animal down there or whatever. I'm always prepared for, like, you're a prepper, I heard.
Are you? Oh, dude. Well, not like into the world prepper, but like I'm like a game planner. Like I always think, hey, worst case scenario. Yeah, worst case scenario. I always look for like who's a threat. What do I need to take out the threat? Like what's my exit strategy? And my wife is like, she knows that I like to be like in a booth like that's especially against the wall, like the corner booth.
You don't like your back to be to the
booth. I don't like.
I'm the same way.
And
exactly.
I'm like, and it's like we can get into the like more details of that, but we'll save that for another day. But I'm always looking for an exit strategy, and my wife's like, why do you always think like that? I was like, because my main focus is you and the boys, and I want to make sure that you guys are safe.
You put that protector or shield on, and you're
like,
okay,
100%. Like,
you.
I've never felt like so much anxiety. Like when I don't like going to public places now. Like I like rather not. I still do just because I know I need to go out and do stuff. But I just don't like going. I don't like going out to bars anymore. Like I don't like going, like, I mean, I like to go out and eat, but like if we're going out to eat, I want to sit in a certain spot. If it's not like that, then I'm like on pins and needles the entire time. And it's just more of like, you never know what you're going to encounter at any given time. So so like safety and like having an exit plan, and it's just been embedded into my head. So
I have Band-Aids in my car. I have like, the like I used to, with a diaper bag, you had a diaper bag that has all your stuff. Now that I don't count, I have my, just in case of emergency, I have flares. Like we went up to the snow for New Year's, and if we were pulled off on the side of the road, do you have an extra granola bar just to pass the time before the AAA the tow truck comes by? Extra blankets kind of thing. Like I used to drive down to San Diego, and every now and then they'd stop you at the Grapevine. Okay, well, do you have blankets to sit there and sleep in your car? Or you just wore a pair of shorts and just, hey, I'm going down to L.A. That's all you brought is a pair of shorts. You're like, okay, well, what if you're on the Grapevine and it gets cold? It occasionally does snow, and you're kind of trapped up in I'm always prepared like that. Especially like depending on like where we're going, like I'll prepare like, hey, you never know what type of weather you're going to encounter. Absolutely. But if like when it comes to comfort, I'm always like shorts and sweater. Like that's just how I roll. And what's
when
the
it comes
number
to
thing
travel.
you do when you leave the house? I got to get phone, keys, wallet, and your charger now. Because if you're stranded on the side of the road, there's no pay booths anymore. And that's what the one thing is like, okay, your phone and your charger. Or battery backup. So when I do my inspections, my phone's my number one lifeline. If I'm underneath the house and I get stuck, okay, hey, call the fire department, stuck underneath the house. If my ladder falls off the roof after I just climbed up on top and then the wind blows it, hey, I'm stranded on the roof. If there's no one there, no real estate agent or client, who's going to pick up my ladder?
And put it back up.
So I can crawl back down. So, those kind of safety things, measures, I have a checklist of all the things to do, like being prepared.
So you were talking about like all the tools that you have, and it's like that, man, that takes it way past the 3-pat tab. It's like keys, wallet, phone. Like it's like, so you're like keys, wallet, phone, knife, drone controller, like
right, yeah.
You got like
You
your
have to
electric
have,
stuff, like
what they say, one is none, or having one, having a backup. If you only have one, that's all you have. So if I have one drone, that's it. I'm dead in the water. But if I have 2 drones, at least I have a backup.
Yeah.
It's like a backup flashlight or a backup knife.
Yeah.
Or a backup jacket that's tucked away in your trunk that you never use. But at least it's there in case you had to change your tire. You're out in the elements with a hoodie, an old hoodie.
Yeah,
It's your
absolutely.
college hoodie.
Yeah.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah. But I'm like you, I'm a prepper. I've been taking all these little podcasts and go, okay, I remember that. And
Yeah.
that's
Right on.
good. And because you learn about people, and that's what Andy Krotnick says. It's about relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the YPN thing is like, well, if I'm going to settle down here in Merced, halfway between Northern California and San Diego, that's the perfect opportunity for me to my 90-mile circle of influence.
Yeah.
Where I drive 90 miles, an hour and a half to go do inspections, or my friends are, here and there and stuff.
Right.
But I like Merced because not only do I live in a nice house, one level, I can retire in, but Merced, having my park here, I feel like I'm part of it.
Yeah.
You guys said you've been here forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm meeting a lot of the OGs that have been real estate agents for a while, like Scott Oliver. He's been for a while, and Mo and Ernie Ochoa. Those guys have been around, and I'm meeting all these people where they've been doing the podcast, and I go, okay, these are the people that I got to get to know, and they're nice people, based on their little life stories. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this the entire time. You said like the phone and like having a charger. Like back like when phones were first coming out, you had like the replacement batteries. I always had a replacement battery on me because it's like, shoot, if my phone dies, like I'll be able to swap in and put a new battery in. And I got made fun of because like all these iPhone users, they was like all sealed in. It's like, haha, look at, I can take mine off and put a new one in. And I'm fully charged right away. I'm out without a phone for 10 seconds. So, and then now they're all like sealed in. So I was like, man, now I can't brag about that.
That's how they make money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just pull out this battery and swap it in. If you had the same thing on your phone, you wouldn't have the.
That's exactly how I did it.
Battery bank, you just like a holster, you swap it in and out.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly. And I was like, man, I love having to be able to take my back off, pop in a new battery, and I'm good to go. So now it's like, now you have to have this big old battery back on the side. And I was like, I hate it. I have one. I hate it, but that's.
When we were at Disneyland, I had to do that.
Yeah.
Walking around Disneyland in Florida last week, and it's like, okay, after the inspection convention, let's go have fun.
Oh, okay.
You're walking around 8 hours. You're posting pictures.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing, but it runs out of battery quickly.
Real
and
fast.
When you have that battery backup, you're like, okay. Yeah. Nothing happens if I don't document it.
Right.
No pictures. It didn't happen.
Exactly.
So you went to Disney World then after that.
Yeah. We had our convention Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday we went to Epcot Center.
Yeah, I've been to Epcot Center.
But then it rained, but I was prepared. I had my poncho.
Yeah.
And so we walked around in Florida, and we were all prepared for that. But then the next day we went to SeaWorld, and it didn't rain for that. But that was like my little vacation getaway. Nice. But now that I'm back, back into YPN and back into
back to the grind.
Inspections. And but I wanted people to get to know me as I'm getting to know my community in Merced.
Yeah.
And I want to tell people that I'm grounded in this community. My girlfriend Jennifer Nordman, she has longtime roots in this area. The Nordman family are really big, and that's who I am.
Nice, man. Well,
yeah.
So this is just like the tip of the iceberg for inspections. So we might have to have you back on the podcast in another date too. So
fantastic. Well, speaking of which, I'm doing the MCAR breakfast, introduction on March 11th. So this is kind of like a little precursor to that, where I talk in front of the whole group, like who I am and so forth. So hopefully this is like a little tease to my whole presentation, where I hope to get Jennifer around to introduce her to the rest of because sometimes she answers the phones, and she's the behind the scenes administrator. So I want to give her some light too.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we are looking forward to March 11th. You'll be the guest speaker for the MCAR for the MLS.
Mark it on the calendar.
Yeah, mark it on the calendar. You'll be mark it on the calendar for Mark Campos.
Mark Market.
So,
Mile markers, trademark, world mark, all the marks.
all right.
Right? Yeah. The only one I hated was skid mark.
So anyway, Mark, how can people get a hold of you? Like, if they need it?
Mark Campos with Lantern Shield Property Inspections. I started in residential a year ago, and now I'm making my way towards commercial. I want to truly inspect the world and not say no to anybody that looks for me. Yeah, I got all the certifications and a couple degrees, and I'm looking forward to helping people. Really,
Nice.
as my kids call me the superhero. Protecting families and smoke alarms and things like that, and just properly informing people. I mean, I know it sounds kind of canned,
No,
but it's truthfully what it is.
Yes.
I'm giving you reports about the house you're going to buy, and I want, of course, for me to sleep well, an honest, truthful report that helps people make informed decisions.
Yeah, and it's all about safety, and it's worth whatever you charge. And I want to stress this to the viewers and any future home buyers. Get the inspection. It'll give you a peace of mind. Let's say it's $500, even $1,000. You need to pay for the inspection, whether it's bugs, structural. Just get the inspection. It's a peace of mind. You get to the negotiation table again. Negotiation doesn't go the way that you want it. You're out $1,000 compared to $500,000. That's how I like to look at it. Like, even if it's $1,000. Hey, you're out $1,000, but you could have been out $500,000 if something did happen to the house that could have been caught by an inspector. So, buyer's agents will tell you the same thing. Always get the inspection. Mark is very meticulous. Sellers probably don't like that, but that's okay. Like, it's for the buyer, for the protection of the buyer, and even for the seller. It's good for the seller too, to get that pre-done. So, hey, look, what do I need to do to get my house ready so that way I can unlock the door for more buyers. So on both aspects of it, get the inspection. It's worth it.
That's
Absolutely.
great. That's actually really, me meeting a lot of the real estate agents was like, well, what are the nuts and bolts of, what do you need to know for your clients? And that's where I'm here to, illuminate, the lantern part of what they're about to buy, the biggest purchase of, most people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Mark, well, it was a pleasure. We enjoyed having you on, and we'll look forward to March 11th for the MLS meeting coming March 11th. That's in 2 weeks, I think. It's coming up pretty soon. 2 weeks. Yeah. No, 3 weeks from this past Tuesday.
The Reno trip.
Yeah, the Reno trip. Yeah, March 8th and 9th Reno trip. Are you going to the Reno trip?
I won't make it this year.
Oh, man, it's going to be fun.
I'm going to make it this year. Yeah.
Maybe the Tahoe trip in August.
Yeah, that's more doable. So we'll probably try to make it to that one.
And make sure you go to the July 11th rib cook-off.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be at the rib cook-off.
Yeah, the rib cook-off is going to be so much fun.
That's my birthday, July 11th.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got a lot of events coming up.
Then.
Yeah, we'll be celebrating. 8
Anyway.
o'clock in the morning.
I know, right?
Appreciate you guys talking.
Oh, yeah, it was a
Thank you
pleasure.
so
All right,
much.
Mark. Well, with that, we'll see you on the next episode.